In close connection, decolonization has long sat on a shaky wicket in the Bahamas and other post-colonial territories in the region. It has been in the interest of the new indigenous overlords it's not been in their interest to dismantle the structures and the mental legacies of imperialism that the hold on the formerly colonized. For example, the Bahamas independence process reflected this turn of events in that sovereignty, this is so important, sovereignty, in my opinion, did not bring the kind of foundational change it should have. Of course, there were all the stirring symbolisms aplenty in 1973, but little attempt to deconstruct the colonial mechanisms of inequity. The independence leaders simply stepped into the master's house, assumed his garments and his philosophies, values, and oppressions, with little change save for the color of those in charge of government. The same social and cultural arrogance, the power hierarchies, and discriminatory access to economic privilege have characterized that which characterized colonial rule, have become entrenched in the new political dispensation. The aping of colonial behavior took an even more disturbing turn, in my opinion, reverse discrimination, where Bahamian identity was conflated almost solely with blackness and African heritage. Even today, non-participation in Junkanoo raises suspicions of one's patriotism. The Progressive Liberal Party, which led the drive to majority rule, actively conflated Bahamianness and loyalty with African heritage. Anybody remember that the film Roots was played through several election seasons to raise the specter of a return of white oligarchy and fire us into an us versus them resentment? While privileging the African heritage had to be an important part of the vehicle of decolonization, it should never have disparaged any other racial or ethnic heritage or become an instrument for supporting a harmful binary. Still more disturbing, the Bahamas has developed new forms of enslavement and colonialism through the unique political and religious structures that have arisen to bring a flood of rain on the parade of Bahamian democracy. Furthermore, by enchaining the development of Bahamian analytical thinking. You see, you can't let these people learn how to think for themselves. The political and the religious sectors have kept tight control for their own benefit and not the people's. Each year, more and more such structures have been institutionalizing tribalism and discrimination against outsider groups, thus proving harmful to unity, nation building, and the promotion of fundamental human rights, equality, and the expected rights of citizenship. Tell me if that's not so. We saw it in wonderful display. Excuse me a minute, please. I'll get a drink of water. Partisan politics have become the ultimate vehicle for othering and discrimination. Worse still, governance has become, and this is what worries me, worse still, governance has become indistinguishable from partisan politics, which has led to the distorting of many of the fundamentals of democracy, including government accountability, public access to information about state affairs, equal opportunity in the award of government contracts. There have been so many reports of misappropriation of funds that we have lost track and confess it. We've become inured to it. The malefactors go unpunished. We have joined Alice at the Hatter's Tea Party. The Bahamian political culture has promoted the frequent and expected spiting of those who don't toe the party line. It's promoted the all-for-me baby syndrome. In any new investment, one has only to lift the veil placed strategically over negotiations to discover that members of government are often first in line to grab for themselves opportunities that should be open to all and secured by due process, ability, and real merit. Now, government is further muddying the channels that sustain democracy by introducing, this is a new one for me, special purpose vehicles, adding these to its financial dealings. Now, let me read a little definition from Investopedia as to what an SPV is. Although SPVs, or sometimes called SPEs, are used to isolate financial risk due to accounting loopholes, these vehicles may become a financially devastating way for CFOs to hide debt, as with the Enron bankruptcy. Yeah. For a long time now, national elections have not been about the best reasoned and viable plans for national development. Elections have been won by politicians who understand the seize the day mentality that time and circumstance have nurtured in Bahamians. They make good use of pre-election mega parties and handouts and promises of more for votes. Much of this largesse is paid for by big party sponsors who are expecting paybacks in the form of legislation, land, and other rewards that may actually go counter to the national interest. Bahamians are losing their souls not to gain the whole world, but T-shirts and appliances. Then there are the post-election rewards for supporters. This brand of politicking has led to a harmful separation between entitlement and responsibilities. These things are far apart. The responsibilities part tends to fade into the darkness. There's little needful equation between personal attitudes and action and desired goals and outcomes. In the political climate that has developed, you don't have to be right, just on the right side. Nothing so clearly illustrates this egoism and confusion. Sorry. I think nothing so illustrates the egoism and the confusion as what we've been seeing over the past months. I tell you the truth, I'd like to be out of this town during election, but I've voted since I've been able to vote, and I dare say I'll vote this time. But the point is, we have seen the development of multiple parties, some of them one-man parties. I don't know why that particular person didn't declare that they were going to run as an independent. So tell me, the one that shocked me most, I think, was the people's movement started out for the people, and all of a sudden, within weeks, we got a declaration that, oh, we're a political party and we're likely to be contesting the 2017 elections. Where are the people in these, with the infighting in the two major parties, the obvious lack of substance in a third, the rush of multiple elements on all sides aspiring to leadership? Where are the people of the Bahamas and the future of our country in all this testosterone-fueled mess? Labor unions make their own, that's another story. Oh, should I still buy the papers? make their own excessively hormone-driven contributions to this harmful cycle. It is indeed right for them to lobby for the just rights of their members. Now, I sincerely support that, because not all employers are what they ought to be. At the same time, convince me that you are promoters, you should be the prime promoters of high quality training as well as of service and product quality. What they should not do is promote groundless entitlements secured by thuggery. Many Bahamians, despite their lack of productivity, have developed a firmly entrenched belief that either Big Daddy government or a labor union will provide, despite their lack of productivity. These distorted values have made society and employers permanent debtors to the individual who has little thought of reciprocity. To our detriment, this country, because of this, has failed to develop sound concepts of excellence or true meritocracy. Every other week we're getting a new award system. And every time the same people appear. For God's sake, these Renaissance people, I want some of what they have. There are many of you sitting in this audience who deserve awards, who have made solid contributions to this country, but I've seldom seen any of your faces in any of these award schemes. There's something wrong with that. It is, there are things that have now become or are becoming emblematic of Bahamian national identity. The Bahamas is once again becoming known internationally as a nation for sale to the highest bidder. We have become princes of malfeasance in public office and private enterprise. We won't talk about that other dark subject. It is even more frightening that the current government, backed by an incredible egoism, seems poised to embrace the lure of dictatorship. We are even now witnessing the eliding of powers which, for the sake of freedom, must defensibly remain separate. The executive and the courts, for example. We have witnessed government discarding the results of the plebiscite on gambling. We had on 28th January 2013, the people voted no to legalizing web shops that had previously been operating for years illegally. Months later, these businesses were still operating, and on the 15th of September 2014, Parliament enacted legislation supporting their licensing and regulation. After touting the income that would be derived from taxing web shops based on largely unsubstantiated data from those very businesses. I don't know if you know more than I do, but anyway, here's what the Prime Minister said about the dismissal of the popular vote. As explained to religious leaders and others whose views, advice, and counsel I greatly respect, the economic, social, law and order, national interest, and international obligation realities which have developed make it absolutely necessary and the right thing for the government to regularize web shop gaming in the manner being proposed. Now, logic demands a burning question. If the government was in possession of verifiable facts about the benefits to be derived from web shops, why wasn't this information made available to the rest of us beforehand? Why was no investigation done of the issue, an issue so fraught with pitfalls? Why spend scarce public funds on a referendum at all? Could it be an election debt repaid? Bahamian politics have become dog and pony shows, in my opinion, for instead of solid and honest planning for the development of the nation.